Triplets vanished in 1999. 26 years later, their mother sees them working at a gas station. Hope Johnson felt the world stop when she pulled over to refuel on the highway connecting New York City to the countryside. Her hand trembled as she held the gas nozzle when she saw 3 identical men working at the station, all with blonde hair and dark blue uniforms. It was the crooked smile of the first one that made her drop everything. That same smile she used to kiss every night before bed when they were babies. The second had the same birthmark on his neck that she used to tickle, and the third walked with his foot slightly turned outward, exactly like when he took his first steps. Her triplets, who disappeared in 1999, were there, alive, grown up, working as if nothing had happened. "Excuse me, ma'am, are you feeling unwell?" asked the tallest of the 3, approaching with a towel in hand. Hope couldn't speak. Her legs buckled and she leaned against the car. How could she explain that she was looking at the children she had been searching for 26 years? How to say she would recognize those faces anywhere in the world, even after all this time? She tried to form words, but only tears came out. "I'll call Dr. Anthony. He always helps when someone feels sick here at the station," said the second triplet, running to the convenience store. The third stayed by her side, and Hope noticed he had a small scar on his chin, the same scar he got when he fell from his high chair at age 2. Her heart raced so fast she thought she would faint. "Would you like to sit in the shade?" offered the third, with a gentle voice that reminded her of the giggles that echoed through the house when they played. What are your names?" she managed to whisper, grabbing his arm. "I'm Luke. That one over there is Mark, and the one who went to get the doctor is John," he replied, puzzled by the desperation in the woman's eyes. Hope felt the world spin. These weren't the names she had given them. She had named them Ryan, Gabriel, and Michael, but their faces, their mannerisms, everything was exactly as she imagined they would be after growing up. "Your parents? Where are your parents?" she asked, trying to control her voice. Luke exchanged a strange look with Mark, who had returned with a man in a white coat. "Our mother, well, Luke hesitated. "She abandoned us when we were little. Our father raised us alone, but he passed away 3 years ago." The words felt like daggers in Hope's heart. Abandoned? Her, who had turned the United States upside down looking for them, who had spent all her savings on private detectives, who never stopped searching, not even for one day. "That's not true," she murmured, taking her wallet from her purse with trembling hands. Inside the wallet, a faded photo of 3 blonde babies sleeping together. On the back, her handwriting, "Ryan, Gabriel, and Michael, 6 months." Luke took the photo and turned pale. Mark came closer to look and nearly stumbled. It was impossible to deny the resemblance. Where did you get this photo?" asked Mark, his voice hoarse. "I'm your mother," Hope said, the words coming out like a choked cry. "I never abandoned you. I've been searching for you for 26 years. The silence that fell was broken only by the sound of cars on the highway. The 3 men looked at each other, confused, as Hope opened her bag and pulled out a plastic folder full of documents. "These are the police reports I filed. These are the invoices from the detectives I hired. These are the ads I placed in newspapers across the entire country." She spoke rapidly, spreading papers across the car hood. John, who had returned with the doctor, stopped to look at the documents. There were hundreds of them. Receipts, contracts, photocopied pictures, newspaper ads yellowed with age. "I'm looking for my 3 children, triplets, who disappeared in March 1999. Reward," John read aloud. "It has the date, March 1999. It has your photo here, ma'am." "And there are photos of us as babies," Mark added, picking up a strip of 3x4 photos that Hope had kept for decades. Hope was crying so much she could barely speak. "Your father, what was his name?" "Robert Taylor," Luke replied. "Robert Taylor Johnson." "Robert Johnson," she repeated the name bitterly. "My ex-husband, the man who ran away with me in the middle of the night and took you." The triplets looked at each other again. The version they knew was completely different. Their father always said that their mother had chosen a singing career and abandoned them to pursue fame in Los Angeles. "This can't be right," Mark said, shaking his head. "Our father said you chose to be an artist and didn't want anything to do with us anymore." An artist? Hope almost laughed if it weren't so tragic. I worked in a textile factory. The only music I sang was lullabies to put you to sleep. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out now continuing. The doctor, Dr. Anthony, watched the scene in silence. He had known the triplets for years and knew they had always had doubts about the past. Robert never talked much about his wife, only saying that she had abandoned the family. Are you sure you're okay? The doctor asked, concerned about the emotional impact of the situation. Doctor, you knew our father, John said. He was a good person, wasn't he? He wouldn't lie about something like that. Dr. Anthony sighed. He had taken care of Robert in his last months of life and knew the man carried an immense burden. Before passing away, Robert had mumbled words about forgiveness and a big mistake, but he never explained properly. Your father was a good man, but he had his demons, the doctor said carefully. In the last months, he seemed regretful about something. Hope approached the doctor. What did he say? Please, I need to know. Why did he do this to me? He talked about debts, about dangerous people. He said he had to protect the family somehow, Dr. Anthony replied. But I never really understood. I thought it was medication-induced delirium. The revelation hit like a bomb. Robert had run away with the children not out of malice, but because he believed he was protecting the family. Hope remembered the fights they had in the months before the disappearance. He had been nervous, always looking over his shoulder, receiving strange phone calls. He was gambling, she murmured. I remember he started playing cards back then. He said he was going to make us rich, that he was going to buy a bigger house for the boys. Luke sat on the curb, running his hands through his blonde hair. Had his entire life been built on a lie? The mother he hated for abandoning them had actually never abandoned them? Why did you never give up searching? John asked, looking at the pile of documents. Because you are my children, Hope replied simply. A mother never gives up on her children. Never. Mark stood up abruptly. I need some air. This is too much, he said, walking toward the woods behind the gas station. Hope tried to follow him, but Luke stopped her. Let him go. Mark has always been the most sensitive. He'll need time to process this. How is he now? Mark was always my most affectionate baby, she said, touching her chest as if feeling physical pain. He has a beautiful family. His wife's name is Carla, and they have 2 young daughters. He works here at the gas station, and on weekends does odd jobs as a plumber, John explained. And you too? She asked, eager to learn about the life her children had built without her. I'm married to Anne Paula. We have a 5-year-old son. I work here and also study at night, trying to get my degree in business administration, said John. And I haven't managed to get married yet, Luke admitted, ashamed. I was always afraid of abandoning someone like I thought our mother had done to us. Hope Johnson's heart shattered upon hearing that. Their father's lies not only separated her from her children, but also affected their ability to form relationships. You're not your father, Luke, she said, touching his face, and I never abandoned you. At that moment, a young woman came running to the station. She had brown hair tied in a ponytail and wore a nurse's uniform. John, what happened? Luke called me saying there was an emergency, she said, breathless. Anne Paula, John turned to his wife. This is our mother-in-law. Anne Paula looked confused between John and Hope Johnson. What do you mean, mother-in-law? You always said your mother had... She stopped, realizing the delicacy of the situation. Had abandoned you, I know, Hope finished the sentence. But I never abandoned you. I'm here to prove that. Anne Paula looked at the documents spread over the car hood. As a nurse, she was used to delicate situations, but this was beyond anything she had ever seen. Oh my God, she whispered, seeing the baby pictures. John, they look just like you and your brothers. Where is little Peter? Hope asked, eager to meet her grandson. At preschool. He gets out at 5, Anne Paula replied automatically, still processing the situation. Little Peter, Hope repeated the name affectionately. My little grandson. The tears returned. She had a 5-year-old grandson who didn't even know she existed. How many birthdays had she missed? How many first steps, first words, first days at school? Mark returned from the woods, calmer but with red eyes. "Sorry," he said to Hope. "It's just, this changes everything, doesn't it?" "I understand, my son. It's a lot to take in at once." "My son," Mark repeated. "It's been so long since anyone called me that." "To me, you've always been my children. Every day for 26 years, I woke up thinking of you. Every Christmas, every birthday, I said a prayer hoping you were well." John broke the silence. "And you? Do you have a family now? Did you remarry?" Hope shook her head. "I never could. How could I start a new family knowing my children were lost out there? I worked, saved money, and spent it all looking for you." "All that time alone?" asked Anne Paula, moved. "I had hope. The hope of one day finding you kept me alive." Dr. Anthony, who had remained silent, stepped forward. "May I suggest something? Why don't we go to my office to talk with more privacy? Here at the station is too busy, and this is too important a conversation to have in the middle of the highway." Everyone agreed. The office was 2 blocks from the station, in an old house that Dr. Anthony had turned into a clinic for the local community. During the walk, Hope observed her sons. They had grown into handsome, hard-working men, but they carried a sadness in their eyes that she recognized, the same sadness she saw in the mirror every day. "Are you happy?" she asked. "We are," replied Luke, but without much conviction. "We always felt like something was missing," admitted Mark. "Like we had a hole in our chest that we didn't know how to fill." "I felt that too," Hope said, "the whole of your absence in my life." In the office, Dr. Anthony served water to everyone and closed the door. "Now we can talk more calmly," he said. "Hope, tell me more about what happened in 1999. Hope took a deep breath and began her story. "Robert and I got married in 1997. He was an electrician and worked for a good company. I worked at a textile factory in Brooklyn. When I found out I was pregnant with triplets, we panicked because we weren't financially ready, but we were also very happy." She paused to drink some water, the memories flooding back. "The boys were born prematurely, at 7 months. They spent 2 months in the neonatal ICU. It was the hardest time of our lives, but also when we were closest as a couple. I remember fragments from the hospital," said John. "Very bright lights, hushed voices. You were so tiny," Hope continued. "You fit in the palm of my hand. I spent all day at the hospital. Robert worked to pay the medical bills that Medicaid didn't cover." "And when did the problem start?" asked Anne Paula. "When the boys were 2 years old. Robert started acting strange, nervous, always looking over his shoulder. He'd get phone calls and leave the house without explanation. When I asked, he said it was work." Hope wiped her eyes with her sleeve. "Later, I found out he had started playing cards at a bar near work. At first it was small bets, but then he got involved with dangerous people." "What kind of dangerous people?" asked Luke. "Loan sharks. People who lend money charging very high interest. Robert owed an amount that would be impossible to pay with our salary." The room fell silent. The version of the story they knew was starting to make tragic sense. "And then he ran away with you," Hope continued. "One morning I woke up and the house was empty. Robert had taken everything. You, the clothes, the documents. He left only a letter saying he was going to protect the family and that I shouldn't try to find him." "The letter?" exclaimed Mark. "Dad kept a letter from you for years. He said you had written saying you didn't want anything to do with us anymore." "I never wrote any letter asking him to take you. The letter I received was from him, saying he was going to disappear with you to protect us from the loan sharks." Dr. Anthony intervened. "Robert showed me a letter years ago. He said it was from his wife. But now, hearing this version, it seems he may have forged it to justify what he did." "Where is that letter?" asked Hope. "It must be among the things he left behind." "We divided his belongings among the 3 of us," said John. "I can get it," offered Mark. "It's in a box at my place." "Please," Hope requested. "I need to see it." Anne Paula looked at her husband. "John, what if we call Carla and the girls? They should meet their grandmother." John hesitated. I'm not sure it's a good idea to spring all this on them at once. The girls are very young. They have a right to know, Hope said gently. But I respect your timing. I've waited 26 years, I can wait a few more days. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out, now continuing. Luke stood up and walked to the window. You know what's craziest about all this? Sometimes I dreamed of a woman hugging me, a woman I didn't know but who gave me a feeling of safety. Now I know it was you. Me too, said Mark. I always had dreams of a woman's voice calling me my baby. And I dreamed of the smell of cornbread, John completed. A smell that made me happy, but I never knew where it came from. Hope smiled through tears. I made cornbread every Saturday. It was your favorite dessert when you were little. Early childhood memories stay recorded in the subconscious, explained Dr. Anthony. Even if they don't consciously remember, the brain recorded those moments. So our father, he really thought he was protecting us? Asked Luke. It seems so, Hope answered. Robert was always a family man. Disoriented, addicted to gambling, but he loved you. I think in his mind, taking you away from the creditors was the only way to keep you safe. But what about you? Didn't he think about the suffering he would cause? Questioned Mark. Desperate people do desperate things, Dr. Anthony observed. He probably thought it would be temporary, that he'd come back when he managed to solve the debts. But he never came back, said John, because the debts only grew, Hope explained. Loan sharks charge compound interest. The more time passes, the bigger the debt gets. At that moment, the office door opened, and a little girl of about 5 years old came running in. Grandpa Anthony, Daddy John, she shouted, throwing herself into John's arms. It was little Peter, the son of John and Anne Paula, a little blond boy with blue eyes who was the spitting image of his parents. Hi, Cham, John said, lifting his son. How was school? It was cool. Auntie taught us how to make a paper bird. Little Peter showed a somewhat crumpled origami. Anne Paula approached. Little Peter, I want you to meet a very special person. This is Grandma Hope. Little Peter looked curiously at the unfamiliar lady. Hi, he said shyly. Hi, my love, Hope answered, her heart racing. It was her first contact with a grandchild. Do you know my daddy? Asked little Peter. Yes, I do. I'm your daddy's mommy. Little Peter's eyes widened. But Daddy said his mommy had left when he was little. John and Anne Paula exchanged glances, not knowing how to explain the situation to a 5-year-old child. It's complicated, son, John said. Grandma Hope never left. She was looking for us all this time. Like hide and seek? Asked little Peter. Yes, Hope smiled. Like hide and seek. Only it lasted many years. And now you found us? He asked. Now I found you. Little Peter thought for a moment and then approached Hope. Can I give you a hug, Grandma? Hope knelt down and hugged her grandson for the first time. It was such an intense moment that everyone in the room was moved. You smell like cake, said little Peter. That's because Grandma loves to bake cakes, she answered, running her hand through his blonde hair. Just like Daddy. He sometimes bakes cakes too. John smiled. I guess it's hereditary. Dr. Anthony stood up. I think I'd better let you talk as a family, but if you need anything, I'll be here. He left the office, leaving the family alone for the first time in 26 years. Anne Paula broke the silence. Hope, where do you live now? In New York City, in the same apartment where I lived with you. I never moved, in case you came back looking. New York City is far from here, observed John. 3 hours by car, Hope confirmed. But I'll come as often as you'll let me. Mark, who had been quiet since little Peter arrived, finally spoke. I need to pick up the girls from school and tell Francine what happened. She won't believe it. What is she like? Asked Hope. Francine is a municipal school teacher, a wonderful woman. She always said she wished the girls could meet their paternal grandmother, but since we thought that, well, that I had abandoned you. Yes. How old are my granddaughters? Sophia is 7 years old and Valentina is 5, same age as little Peter. Hope smiled. Sophia and Valentina, beautiful names. Do you want to come with me to pick them up? Offered Mark. That way you can meet them and Francine. Hope hesitated. It was a lot of emotion for one day, but the desire to meet her granddaughters was greater. If you think it won't be traumatic for them. The girls are open-minded, and Carla was always curious about our family. I'm sure she'll want to meet you. Let's go then. The public school was 15 minutes from the clinic. On the way, Mark told more about the family. Carla and I met 10 years ago. She was tutoring John when he was trying to finish high school. It was love at first sight. And you? Did you always want to be a father? Asked Hope. Always. I think because I grew up without a mother, I wanted to give my daughters everything I felt we missed. What was that? Unconditional affection. Someone who would always be there, no matter what happened. Hope felt a pang in her heart. I was always here, my son. You just didn't know where to find me. They arrived at the school just as classes were letting out. Children ran across the playgrounds while parents waited at the gates. A brunette woman with curly hair waved to Mark. Carla, he said to Hope. My wife. Carla approached holding hands with two blonde girls. They were identical to their father, with the same blue eyes and the same shy smile. Honey, I didn't expect you here. Did something happen? Asked Carla, noticing the tension on her husband's face. Carla, I need to introduce you to someone very important, Mark said. This is Hope, my mother. Carla stopped, confused. What do you mean, your mother? Mark, you always said that she had abandoned us. I know, but we found out today that our father lied. She never abandoned us. She's been looking for us for 26 years. Carla looked between Mark and Hope, trying to process the information. 26 years? She repeated. Since you disappeared, Hope confirmed. I never stopped searching. The girls watched the conversation, curious but still shy. Girls, said Carla, kneeling to their level. Remember how Mummy always said you had a grandma you hadn't met? This is her. Grandma Hope. Sophia, the older one, took a step forward. You look just like Daddy, she said, observing Hope. Actually, your daddy looks like me, Hope smiled. I came first. Valentina, more timid, hid behind her sister. No need to be scared, Hope said gently. Grandma won't do anything bad. I just want to get to know you. Do you have candy? Asked Sophia, practical. Sophia, scolded Carla. It's all right. Hope laughed. I didn't bring candy today because I didn't know I'd meet you, but next time I'll come prepared. Promise? Insisted Sophia. Grandma's promise. Carla approached Hope. I'm sorry, but this is a lot to process at once. Mark always had issues with abandonment. If this is some kind of scam, I understand your suspicion, Hope said calmly. And I admire you for protecting your family. I brought documents that prove everything I'm saying. She showed the folder with the papers. It's 26 years of documented searches. Police reports, newspaper ads, contracts with private detectives, photos. Carla flipped through some documents, and her expression changed. My God, she murmured. This is real. Unfortunately, it is, Hope confirmed. Mark, you need to call your brothers. This changes everything. Mark took out his phone and dialed. John, can you come here to the school? Bring Luke, too. I need you to meet your nieces. While they waited, Hope tried to talk to the girls. What grades are you in? She asked. I'm in 2nd grade, said Sophia, and Valen is in 1st. Do you like school? So-so, Sophia replied. The teacher is nice, but there are some annoying boys. In my day, there were annoying boys too, Hope said, earning a smile from the girl. Valentina finally approached. Grandma, did you know my daddy when he was little like me? Yes, I did, sweetheart. Your daddy was a very beautiful baby, just like you. Did he cry a lot? Sometimes. But when he cried, Grandma would do this. Hope made a funny face that made the girls burst out laughing. John arrived with Anne Paula and little Peter, followed by Luke. These are our cousins, exclaimed little Peter, running off to play with Sophia and Valentina. Luke watched the scene of the family gathered. I never thought I'd see this, he said, emotional. What? Asked Hope. A complete family. We always felt like we were a broken family, you know? Now it feels like the pieces are falling into place. Anne Paula approached Carla. So? What do you think? I'm confused, but look at the documents. Carla showed the papers. There's a photo of her pregnant with the triplets. There's the original birth certificate with their real names. Real names? Asked Luke. Ryan, Gabriel, and Michael, Hope said. The names I chose for you. Michael, repeated Luke. Sometimes I dream of someone calling me Michael, because that was your name. Luke was your middle name. John looked at the documents. Here it says we were born at University Hospital. Dad always said it was at a private hospital. You were born at UH indeed. Complications during the pregnancy, emergency delivery. You stayed in the neonatal ICU for 2 months. Mark joined the conversation. And there's one more thing. I remember Dad had a box with old documents. We never touched it because he said they were work things, but there might be important stuff there. Where is that box? Asked Hope. At my house. Do you want to go get it now? If you don't mind, I'd really like to. Mark's house was on a quiet street, in a small town in the countryside near New York City. It was a simple but well-kept house, with a garden in front where the girls played. So this is where you live, said Hope, observing everything. It's a beautiful house. We bought it 5 years ago, said Carla proudly. Mark worked really hard to save up for the down payment. Inside the house, Mark went to get the box from the bedroom, while the others waited in the living room. Found it, he said, returning with a dusty shoebox. Inside the box were old documents, photos, and a yellowed letter. It's this letter, said Mark, handing it to Hope. Hope opened the letter and read silently. Her expression changed to outrage. This is not my handwriting, she said. And just look at what's written here. She read aloud, Robert, I can't handle this life anymore. I want to pursue my artistic career and the boys are just in the way. You can keep them. I won't look for them anymore. Hope. I would never write something like that, she said angrily. I would never call my sons in the way. Anne Paula took the letter and examined it. The handwriting is very different from what's on your other documents. Robert forged this letter, concluded Hope. Probably to justify to you why I never showed up. John shook his head. So our whole life was based on a lie. Not your whole life, corrected Hope. You grew up, became good men, started families. The love you feel for your children is real. Your honest work is real. Only the part about me was a lie. Luke sat on the sofa. How do we deal with this? How do we tell everyone that our story was wrong? You don't have to tell everyone at once, suggested Carla. You can take it slow as you feel comfortable, Hope agreed. I didn't come here to turn your lives upside down. I came because I found my sons and I want to make up for lost time if you'll let me. Sophia tugged on Hope's skirt. Grandma, are you staying for dinner? Hope looked at Mark and Carla, waiting for permission. Of course she is, said Carla. In fact, how about we all have dinner together? Anne Paula, John, can you stay too? And Luke? Asked Anne Paula. Luke too. Let's have a family dinner for real, Mark decided. Can I help cook? Offered Hope. I miss cooking for a family. What do you know how to make? Asked Carla. Home-cooked meals, stewed chicken, rice, beans, farofa, Mom's food. The kids got excited. I want to help, said little Peter. Me too, added Sophia and Valentina. In the kitchen, Hope felt right at home. The children played around her as she prepared dinner with Carla and Anne Paula. Did you have other children? Asked Anne Paula. No. After you disappeared, I never managed to have a proper relationship again. How could I date or marry knowing my babies were lost out there? You wasted your life because of us, said Carla sadly. I didn't waste anything, Hope corrected. You were my life. And now I've found you, found grandchildren, wonderful daughters-in-law. Every day of searching was worth it. As they cooked, Hope told stories about the triplets' childhood. Mark was always the most sensitive. He'd cry when he saw a hurt little bird. John was the curious one, always asking why this, why that. And Luke was the protector, always looking after his brothers. Daddy's still like that, said Sophia. He gets sad when he sees a dog on the street. And Uncle John really asks a lot of questions, added little Peter. During dinner, with the whole family together for the first time in 26 years, Hope observed every detail. Her children's mannerisms, her grandchildren's playfulness, the loving way the daughters-in-law treated their husbands. "You've built a beautiful family," she said. "With a piece missing," replied John. "You." "Not anymore." Luke, who had been quiet during dinner, finally spoke. "You know what hurts me the most about all this?" "What?" asked Hope. "Thinking about how many Christmases you spent alone, how many New Years, how many birthdays, and us here hating you for something you didn't do. You didn't hate me. You hated the idea of a mother who abandons. It's different." "Even so—" "Luke," Hope interrupted, "don't waste energy on guilt. Let's spend energy building the future. We have a lot of time to make up for." After dinner, the children went to play while the adults talked in the living room. "And now," asked Aunt Paula, "how are we going to do this?" "However you want," said Hope. "I can come here on weekends. You can visit me in New York City. The important thing is that we're together." "Are you still working?" asked Carla. "I retired last year. I worked 40 years at the factory. Now I live on my retirement and some savings I had left after spending on the searches." "Is there much left?" asked John, worried. "Enough to live decently and to buy presents for my grandchildren," she smiled. The children came running back into the living room. "Grandma," said Valentina, "are you leaving today?" "I need to go back to New York City, my love, but I promise I'll be back next week." "Grandma's promise?" asked Sophia. "Grandma's promise." Little Peter approached. "Grandma, can you teach me how to make cornbread?" "Of course I can. Next week we'll make it together." "Yay!" he celebrated. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us, who are just starting out, now continuing. When it was time to say goodbye, everyone was emotional. Hope hugged each of her grandchildren, then the daughters-in-law, and finally her sons. "My boys," she said, hugging all 3 triplets at once. "My dear boys." "Mum," said Mark, using the word for the first time since he was a child. "My mum," repeated John. "Our mum," Luke completed. The hug lasted several minutes. 26 years of longing being made up for in one moment. "Will you call us when you get to New York City?" asked Aunt Paula. "I will," promised Hope. "And send me the photos of the boys when they were babies on WhatsApp," asked Carla. "I'll scan everything and send them." On the trip back to New York City, Hope Johnson couldn't stop smiling. She had found her sons, met her grandchildren, gained 2 wonderful daughters-in-law. Her family was complete. When she got home, she called Aunt Paula as promised. "Did you arrive safely?" asked Aunt Paula. "I did. Thank you for welcoming me so warmly." "Your family, Hope. You always have been." In the following days, Hope got organized for her new life. She scanned all the old photos, prepared albums for each son, bought gifts for her grandchildren. Mark called every day. "Good morning, Mum," he would say, and Hope's heart filled with joy each time. John sent photos of little Peter at school. "So Grandma doesn't miss a single moment," he wrote. Luke started therapy to deal with his abandonment trauma. "Now that I know the truth, I want to heal," he told Hope. "I want to be able to have a family too." On Friday, the day before returning to see the family, Hope received an unexpected call. It was Dr. Anthony. "Hope, I need to tell you something important." "What is it, Doctor?" "I remembered something Robert told me before he passed away. He mentioned a box buried in the backyard of the house where they lived when the boys were little." "Buried?" "He said he had stored important things there, in case something happened to him." "What kind of things?" "I don't know, but perhaps there are documents that better explain what happened." Hope wrote down the address Dr. Anthony gave her. It was the house where she lived with Robert and the Triplets in New York City. On Saturday, instead of going straight to the countryside, Hope stopped by the old house first. The property had been abandoned for years. She asked the neighbors for permission to search the backyard. With a borrowed shovel, she dug near the mango tree Robert had planted. After an hour, she found a rusty metal box. Inside the box, family photos, the Triplets' original documents, and a diary of Robert's. The diary told the true story. March 15th, 1999. I owe $50,000 to Charlie. He said if I don't pay by tomorrow, he'll hurt Hope and the boys. I can't let that happen. I'll take the boys to a safe place until I can sort everything out. March 20th, 1999. Hope is desperate looking for me. I want to go back, but Charlie said the debt has increased to $80,000. How am I going to pay that? April 10th, 1999. I moved with the boys to Chicago. They ask about their mother every day. I made up that she was traveling. I can't stand lying anymore. June 15th, 1999. I got a job at a workshop. I'll try to save money to pay Charlie and go back home. December 10th, 1999. Charlie found me, said I now owe $150,000. I'll never be able to pay. I'll have to change the boys' names and disappear forever. December 25th, 1999. First Christmas away from Hope. The boys turn 3 today. They've almost forgotten everything about their mother. Maybe it's better this way. January 1st, 2000. I changed the boys' names officially. Now they're John, Luke, and Mark. I'll tell them their mother abandoned them. It's easier than explaining we're on the run. The diary continued for years, documenting Robert's growing regret and his inability to undo the lie. March 15th, 2022. I'm dying. Cancer. The boys don't know. I wish I could tell the truth, but how? How to destroy their lives after 23 years. March 20th, 2022. I dreamed of Hope. She was crying, asking me where our children were. I wake up every day with a heavy conscience. April 2nd, 2022. Last entry in the diary. If anyone finds this, know that I loved my family. I did everything wrong, but with the intention of protecting them. Hope, if you're reading this, forgive me. And please, find our boys. Hope cried while reading the diary. Robert had died carrying the weight of the lie, wanting to turn back but without the courage. She packed everything and continued her trip to the countryside. Arriving there, she gathered the whole family and told them about the discovery. Dad really thought he was protecting us, said John after reading the diary. And he suffered for it until the end, added Mark. What do we do with this information? Asked Luke. We forgive, said Hope simply. Your father made mistakes, but out of love. And look at what you've become. Good men, dedicated fathers, honest workers. He did something right. Anne Paula was looking at the diary dates. Hope, look. The last entry is from April 2022. Robert died in May, didn't he? He did, confirmed Mark. He died thinking of you and the boys. In the end, family was what mattered most to him. That night, they held a small ceremony in the backyard. They lit candles in memory of Robert and made peace with the past. Dad, said John, speaking to the stars, thank you for taking care of us even with all the mistakes. Thank you for keeping us together, added Mark. And thank you for teaching us the importance of family, finished Luke. Hope also spoke. Robert, I forgive you. And thank you for raising our children with so much care. The following weeks were about rebuilding. Hope started dividing her time between New York City and the countryside. The children quickly got used to their grandmother's presence. One day, Sophia asked, Grandma, why did it take you so long to find us? Because the world is very big, my love. But Grandma's love for you was bigger than the whole world. And now you'll never leave again? Asked Valentina. I'll never leave your lives again. Little Peter, always practical, asked his question. Grandma, now that we've found each other, will you make cake every day? Hope laughed. Every day might get boring, but whenever you want, Grandma will make it. Deal, he said, offering his little hand to shake. Deal, she confirmed, shaking her grandson's hand. Luke started dating a classmate from his night course. Mom, he said to Hope, I want you to meet Francine. It's about time, she joked. I want to meet the one who won my son's heart. Francine was a kindergarten teacher, a sweet woman who was immediately charmed by the family's story. How beautiful, Luke. Your mother never gave up looking for you. Now I understand why he's so affectionate, she said to Hope. Takes after his mother. Hope moved to a house in the countryside, halfway between her 3 sons' homes. This way I'm close to everyone, she explained. The house had a large backyard where the grandchildren played on weekends. Hope planted a vegetable garden, and taught the children about vegetables. "Grandma, why isn't the tomato born ready?" asked Valentina. "Because the good things in life need time and care to grow," explained Hope. "Like love?" asked Sophia cleverly. "Like love, my dear." On the first Mother's Day after the reunion, the triplets organized a surprise party. "We should have given you this gift 26 years ago," said John, handing over a photo of the whole family together. "It was worth the wait," replied Hope, "because now we're a much bigger family." Luke proposed to Francine in front of the whole family. "I want my children to grow up knowing Grandma from when they're babies," he said. "I promise I'll spoil Luke's grandchildren just like the others," joked Hope. The wedding was simple in a country church, with the whole family present. Hope wore the dress she had saved for her children's weddings. "You've kept this for 26 years?" asked Francine. "A mother always keeps important things waiting for the right moment." At the party, Hope danced with each of her sons. "Thank you for never giving up on us," said Mark during their dance. "Thank you for not giving up on me," she replied. Francine got pregnant just a few months after the wedding. "Is it a boy or a girl?" asked Hope eagerly. "A girl," answered Luke, "and we want you to choose the name." "Hope," said Hope without hesitation, "because she represents the hope I always had of finding you all." "Hope Johnson," repeated Francine. "Perfect name." When the granddaughter was born, Hope was in the delivery room. "Does Grandma want to hold the baby?" offered the nurse. "Yes, I do." As she held her little granddaughter in her arms, Hope thought of all the babies she couldn't hold when her own children were born. But she was there now, present, for the most important moment. "Hello, Hope," she whispered. "Grandma waited a long time to meet you." Sophia's first birthday was special because it was the first one with Grandma there. "Grandma," said Sophia, blowing out the candles, "my wish is for you to stay with us forever." "That wish has already been granted, my love." At Christmas, Hope finally had the dinner she had dreamed of for 26 years. A big table, the family all together, children running through the house. "Now this is a real Christmas," said John. "Every Christmas is real when there's love," corrected Hope. "But this one is special because we're all together." The children put on a Christmas play. "This is the story of a grandma who never stopped searching," said little Peter, acting as the narrator. "And of 3 children who never stopped dreaming of her," added Sophia. "And in the end, everyone lived happily ever after," concluded Valentina. Hope cried with emotion, watching her grandchildren tell her own story. On the 2nd anniversary of their reunion, the family organized a party at the gas station where it all began. "It was here that our lives started over," said Mark. The gas station owner, who had followed the whole story, made sure to be there. "I've never seen a family so close-knit," he said. "You are an example." Dr. Anthony was also there. "Hope, I must say your persistence taught me a lot about never giving up. And your help was crucial in bringing my family together, Doctor." During the party, a journalist from the countryside showed up wanting to write a story about their experience. "Would you be willing to share your story to inspire other families?" he asked. "If it can help someone," agreed Hope. The story was published in the local newspaper with the headline, "Mother Finds Triplets After 26-Year Search." The response was bigger than they expected. Several people got in touch sharing similar stories. "Our story is helping others not to give up," observed Ann Paula. "That's what stories are for," said Hope, "to inspire and give hope." An elderly woman from another city called saying she had lost contact with her daughter 15 years ago. "Your story gave me the courage not to give up," she said. "Never give up," advised Hope. "A mother's love is stronger than any distance." 2 weeks later, the woman called again, crying with joy. She had found her daughter. "It was your story that gave me the strength to try one more time," she thanked. "Now your daughter has her mother back, and that's what matters." On the 3rd anniversary of their reunion, Hope was surrounded by 6 grandchildren. Francine had given birth to twins, Hope and Faith, 3 sons and 3 daughters-in-law. "You know what I've learned in these 3 years?" she said during dinner. "What?" everyone asked. "That lost time is recovered with double the love. That family isn't just about blood, but choice. And that it's worth fighting for those we love." John raised his glass, a toast to the mother who never gave up. A toast to the family that found each other again, added Mark. A toast to the love that conquers all, finished Luke. The children also raised their juice glasses. Cheers! They shouted in unison. The end. Now tell me what you thought of this moving story. Do you believe a mother's love can overcome any obstacle? Share your family experiences in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more heartwarming stories.